Welcome to The Connection Code,
a podcast where we explore the relationships
that make your life and work just a little bit better.
I'm Gina Anderson Cohen. I've spent more than 13 years building a business that tricks adults into making friends through fitness. And I'm also building a social gathering and event space in New Buffalo, Michigan called Petite Acres. Needless to say, I'm pretty obsessed with friends.
Hi, I'm Rachel Gilman-Rischel. I am the founder of 3PR, a PR firm that's focused on healthy food brands that you should absolutely stock, like Farmer's Fridge and Siete Foods and Mush. But I also really love deep conversations and bringing people together.
Like, I think sometimes people think if they just reach out to someone on LinkedIn or like, hey, I saw you work at NBC. Can I work at NBC? It's like, that is different than saying, hey, I see we both grew up in Union City, New Jersey. This was my favorite restaurant in Union City. Then I went to Rutgers. I think your brother also went to Rutgers. I noticed that this person at your organization is hiring for a job. Is there any way you could help introduce? I can help you if you are very specific about how you want to be helped. If you are just generally asking for help, that is actually asking much more of my time and energy than a very hyper specific ask. So those are sort of the things that come up for me when I think about networking.
I started to say yes to every coffee date imaginable, running dates, hiking dates, coffee dates. I did them as I was traveling the world. I did them when I came home intermittently. And then whenever I met someone that just I really made me vibrate and I felt like they gave me energy, I asked them for one or two more introductions of people that they thought that I should meet. And then there were also meetings where I wanted to run away screaming. And those gave me insight too. And as that started to happen, it started to hone my values. I started to get clear on what it was that I was looking for and what I wanted.
There was a lot of time growing up where I felt sort of out of place. And wondered whether I needed to change myself or my interests to be, frankly, more popular, but be able to converse with other kids my age. And so it took a while to find that. And so that'd be my advice there. And as far as 10 years ago, I would just tell them don't feel like you need, and this is a larger lesson we've learned in the media, you don't need those networks. You don't need that job. Your identity is not that job. Your identity is you, and you can bet on yourself.
My big cardinal rule in life that I think applies to communication is to give more than you receive. I never, ever make a connection or do something expecting anything in return. And I will say that a lot of times they do come back in beautiful ways, and sometimes not from that person, but it's that person's friend or of a friend who heard something I did that was nice. But I think you got to do it from the bottom of your heart.
I spent a lot of money, time, effort, pain, tear, joy, love, creating joy in my life on purpose. And come to find out that joy, it's not a mindset, it's a skill set. And you can practice things on purpose to have more joy in your life. And so that is why I'm always talking about it. It's because something I actively practice, because my default would not be neon is a neutral, neon is my lifestyle, bejazzle, begems, disco balls. Those are all practical things that I do on purpose.
With intuitive feelings, it's things will come to you, get the chills. You just get a really strong feeling. Or it's this immediate gut instinct, I don't trust that person. Those are intuitive hits. And so I think our mind tends to doubt, but also exaggerate and complicate the process. So I always tell people the first hit you get, because seconds later, your mind will come in and start telling you a whole story about whatever that was. But if you go back to the first feeling, the first hit, that is genuinely either your intuition or a spirit trying to communicate with you.
Gotcha.
I was really inspired by that Richard Powers book, Overstory, which is a beautiful novel, and it's about trees, but it's really about people in America, connected to trees. But it really thinks a lot about how forests are not individual, a grouping of individual trees. They have community aspects. They share information, they share nutrients in a really specific way. They they do this amazing thing called, crown shy, where they don't actually close at the top so that sunlight can get through to support their, younger, more, tender members of their community. Like that's a really powerful image to me. And I think about that a lot in terms of like our Lula community.
Somebody told me once, she said, in a good relationship, you have one person who's a balloon and one person who's a string. And like they both can't function without each other. So it's like you have to have a balloon and a string. And I'm a balloon person, but by the grace of whatever is holy, I married a string person that keeps me from floating into the sun and exploding, And so it's like, that's kind of the deal, And so it's like, that's what I think about a lot.
Be genuine. Know when to be vulnerable. Not everyone deserves that. And do things for the right reasons. Because I'm telling you, every time I've ever navigated a situation where I was trying to like get something out of it, and not that it was the wrong reasons, but I was doing it for the wrong reasons. At the end of the day, it wasn't genuine. It never worked out.
Have you learned anything from connection from watching your parents?
That no.
And I think that is the takeaway.
Yep,
okay.
girls.
I hope other people are learning something. Apparently my own children are.
Like that connections can be at like any age. You can't be too old or you can't be too young.
Oh, that's a good learning.
Also adding up to what my mom said, I also think that what makes a good connection is also kind of being a little different so you can like show each other what you like.
I keep in my notes section of my phone, one of the most important things I have in life, and I recommend this to all the listeners. I have a document that is everybody that I love that I know loves me.
Oh.
And it's a list, and if you need a level set in your life, it's a good one, to think, okay, you're worried about this bullshit and this manager's not working out and this person just quit and there's a delay in this restaurant. And then you look at that and you're like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm okay.
A love list.
Mm-hmm. It's a love list.
I'm so glad that happened because you showed me how to be resilient in the face of adversity, and you showed me the strength I didn't know I had. And it really it propelled me into this beautiful life I have where I'm in the career I'm meant to be in. And
I want to point out though, what you said is important because I hear that after events, which is you're giving people permission to go up to strangers. And normally you go to a networking event and you're kind of like, I don't know anyone. And we don't allow, for the most part, we don't allow people to bring plus ones. And because we want people to have to meet people. And so when you say that, the job is to meet people. A lot of people aren't going to know anyone. It gives them permission to go up to them and be like, hey, where do you need help? What do you do? What is lacking in your life that you might need an extra push? And it's just it's not a huge revelatory thing, but it really does make a difference.
If I could go back and give myself permission to do something differently, I would say, okay, I know that you're networking to present yourself well, but also network to form relationships, genuine relationships. Have a great conversation with someone, and it's okay if you leave it at that today. It doesn't have to amount to something, and think less about how much they love you or making them like you and want to hire you. Think more about you loving the conversation.
I find sometimes people have gotten to the end of a conversation, and especially women are not putting their bona fides out there. And you're like, oh, but you need to know this about each other because not only will you respect and like each other, but maybe you can work together. Maybe you can help each other. And so whenever I'm out in spaces, especially big conferences or parties where people might not get to that, I just beat them to the punch. Get started with that. And then whatever they want to talk about, I'm not going to make them network. But to me, that is a big part of keeping my connections too, is people really are like, oh my gosh, that was so nice for her to know that about me, to remember that, to have listened to what I just said, right? If I'm talking to someone at an event and I just met them and somebody else walks up, I'll be like, this is Susan. I just met her. She does blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, wow, this person was actually like listening.
But I learned through this experience that like you let people help you when they want to help you, because they also want to feel like they can do something for you because they love you, you know? So there was I never had to ask for anything. It was an embarrassment of riches. And I think probably it's due to, I like to think I put really good things into the universe in my life. And I am a person that reaches out to people to help. I am that person. I want to jump in. And so having it come back to me was it was very moving and very beautiful. And I think it was what got me through.
I love the connections you make, and like the serendipity of not knowing like what you're going to learn from that person or how it's going to help you in the future, or how you can help them as well. But I think I started realizing on the professional side, I need to step my game up, because these connections you make can be worth like, you know, it's not all about that, but they can be worth like millions of dollars to your like the enterprise value of your company if you're connecting with the right people and learning from them and adding value in their lives. So I think it's kind of a blend of I was always doing it personally, but then when I shifted from private equity to media, I realized I almost had like restart it, and that was the Kickstarter for me.
I want to look at you so badly.
Wait, Rachel and I are in a new location.
No, you have to start over. I can't start with a squeal.